Hi guys, welcome to part one of From the Minds of Women, where we'll be discussing the importance of prioritizing your own mental health, as well as normalizing therapy for anyone who needs it, especially people in the workforce. So before I go into introducing anybody, including myself, I just want to say that we will be discussing heavy topics. So for your own well-being, you're free to skip through any parts of the video, pause, do whatever you have to do. So now I just want to say that I'm Pamela Herrera, and I'm here with my co-hosts.
I'm Ana Ileja.
And I'm Alejandra Garza.
So to start us off then, in you guys' point of view, what is having a good mental state? Like what is good mental health in your opinion?
So for me, having a good mental health is being able to look past the insignificant. So practically going to sleep and not replaying the embarrassing moments of the day, because that is something that I struggle with. So if I can do that, then I know I'm on the right path.
A good mental health for me would be being in a well state of mind, I guess. I think also being able to cope with like the normal stressors of life. Like Alice said, when you rethink things, it could like affect your mental health because you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, I mean, it's normal, but I think it's important to realize that it's okay. Everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you too. Like honestly, that'd be super relatable. I've had that happen so many times where I'll think about the Zoom meeting I had earlier in the morning, and then I'll just be like, why did I say that? like, I just start overthinking it, but I'm whatever. Like if you think about it, we're literally just we look like ants compared to this whole universe we're in, one of floating rocks. So it's really whatever. But yeah, I definitely have to agree though. Like for me, having a good mental health is balancing the things in your life, those obstacles that come towards you. Like for example, if you're a student in school, being able to manage that stress, or if you're somebody who's working, just being able to cope with the stress and manage it and not let it kind of overtake, have a bad effect on your mental health. And yeah, that's basically my opinion.
I wanted to ask, because I think it's very important to know and to actually acknowledge that we are in a pandemic. What do you guys do to keep yourself from going crazy? Because it can be tough being inside your house for so long and doing the same thing over and over again. So I just wanted to know what do you guys do on the daily or every week to keep yourself from going, insane?
Well, I know for when the pandemic barely started, I know I underestimated the amount of time we'd be staying home. So I was like, no, this is fine. Like I could stay home. Like I like staying home anyways. I don't have to go to school. But then over time, I started to realize, okay, I'm home 24/7. I can't go out because everything is closed. So what I have been doing, and I feel like it did take an effect in my mental health because I wasn't able to socialize with my friends like how I was used to on a day-to-day basis going to school. Or I didn't really I was stuck with the same people, which is my family in the same house. So just oh my god, I'm so sorry. My dog's barking. But what I do is I do go outside with my dogs. I take them outside, or sometimes I will talk to my friends. Like I'll call them or I'll text them, and we'll just joke around because we're so funny, right? Right, guys? I'm kidding. Or I spend a lot of time on TikTok, a lot of time, or I'll just spend time to myself, and I just remind myself that everything's gonna be okay, and yeah, just take deep breaths and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I definitely do some of the things that Anna said too, going outside. I feel at some point, I've been inside for so long that I feel just off, but I don't realize it's because I'm always inside. So I just go outside for a change of scene and I feel like going back to normal. I'm like, okay, I'm good. And mainly what I've been doing though is like literally just playing Minecraft. Like you guys have to see my house. It's like pretty good. Not gonna lie. And yeah, or like calling my friends and trying to like, like video calling them or like going on Zoom and making meetings because I'm like, hey, I miss you. And we just like, we just like call. And it's nice. It's like nice to see them, even though we can't like see each other in person, obviously, for safety reasons. But yeah, it's basically what I do. I just recommend like having a change of scene, going outside or anything like that.
Well, for me, well, I don't go out that much. Like, I'm not used to going out that much. So I thought it would be easy. I thought it would be fine just staying home because that's what I usually do. But no, it's not the same. Before you had the opportunity to go out, that was an option, and now you have to stay home. So what I do is like I go online, I read, I bought a 750 piece puzzle about a cat, and I'm trying because it was okay at the beginning, but then in the middle of it, it's like it gets to be too much already. I want to go out, I want to see my friends and all that stuff. So it's understandable if the audience feels the same because we feel it. The pandemic is not something to take lightly. I know it's been kind of normalized now because it's been a year, but it can still affect you. And if it does, that's okay too. So I wanted to go back to what Anai said when she mentioned TikTok because I think it's a big part of our routines, at least mine, because I know I wake up and I go on TikTok and I scroll for like 6 hours. It's bad, but I really like it. So I just wanted to ask, how do you see mental health represented in, in media, in the culture that we have as young people, and just how do you see mental health represented throughout our age group?
Honestly, like I'm like also on TikTok. Like, if you see like my battery, like how much I spend like on each of my apps, like TikTok is like number one, and I'm like, oh no, but it's whatever. But yeah, I feel like TikTok is like even though it can take up a lot of your day, I feel like it's also like a nice platform that like is able to like spread awareness and like normalize a lot of things like mental health, because I feel like back then like we as a society sort of, or like especially the older generations, they saw like, oh, if you go to therapy, if you have like bad mental health, it means that you're crazy. But no, I feel like TikTok, like especially since there's a lot of people there our age, they're normalizing it and they're giving advice on like how to, like seek help or like better yourself, things like that. So I feel like that's like TikTok is a great way to like normalize it. And I feel like that's something we need to do, like normalizing therapy, normalizing a lot of things.
Um,
I also think that TikTok has this kind of a pattern where people are like, oh, that's funny because I did that too, in which everyone shares their stories and they're like, oh, I lived that. We're all living the same lives. So I think it's important to share. And once you see it, you feel represented. You feel like, oh, I go through that too. So I think that's really, really cool about it that you can identify with people online and not feel like what you're going through is something out of this world. So I think that's super cool about media that we can see that now. I think mental health is still, work in progress. We're still trying to, teach each other how to react to mental health because it's something that wasn't really a conversation in like 10 years ago. 10 years ago, we would make fun of people that had mental breakdowns online. For example, Britney Spears, Free Britney. And that's something that I wanted to bring up because I think her breakdown shows a lot of how mental health was perceived when it happened and how culture has progressed past that, how our culture has kind of reacted to it now since the conversation came back, you know? So I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think about the Free Britney, and yeah, what do you think about her?
I mean, I feel like when you have as much fame as Britney, and you have like all these people trying to like, they say that they're trying to like, you know, control like your like, I guess, like famous side of life. And in reality, they're also just like kind of trying to like, you know, have like a sneak into your personal life or trying to control like a part of it. So I feel like her breakdown was actually valid, you know, because it's just like the fame gets to you, like all these people just at like bombarding you with all these questions, trying to like get into your personal life, and sometimes you just like want, you know, time to yourself and to keep things, you know, to yourself. And I feel like back then, like you said, like we've definitely progressed in the way that like back then they said that she was like, oh, she's just a crazy lady, something's wrong with her, like get her to like a mental hospital. But now I feel like if that would have happened today, like there would be a completely different reaction to it. It'd be like, hey, like that's like, you know, kind of serious. Like I don't think anybody would really like make fun of her as much. We'd be like more concerned and be like, okay, well, like, you know, like Brittany should get like some mental like health assistance, like maybe some therapy or like, you know, social support. And yeah.
What I think about it, I think I agree with what you guys said, that I don't think there still needs to be a lot of progress with mental health. But an example I wanted to talk about the Britney situation was, I don't know if you guys have, I'm sure you guys have, but I don't know if you guys have heard of a TV show on Nickelodeon. It's called iCarly. It's on Netflix now, so that's why like this specific episode has resurfaced. And so yeah, the show is called iCarly, and it's a Nickelodeon show that was for children. So in one of the episodes, it's called I Fix a Pop Star, and it's not confirmed, but I saw a YouTube video from the creator Sloan on YouTube, and I saw that there had been a lot of like references from the show that in a way made fun of Britney and her mental health and her breaking point during that time. And I think it just comes to show like how the media portrayed mental health, and how they saw it in a way like, oh, we can make a joke out of it. And it's obviously not, no, like it's not good, but um I don't think I mean, I don't know, like I don't think the media would do something like that now. I'm sure they would, but people would fight against it, like know that it's not okay to be doing this kind of stuff, because I guess now we realize the toll it can take on a person, you know? And yeah, that's what I see about it. What about you guys? Well, you guys kind of already answered it.
Yeah, but to add to that, like I think when you say the media would, it's yeah, they would, because it has happened, you know, like with the Demi Lovato and her mental breakdowns that are famous because they happen a lot. But since mental health is a work in progress, that is realistic. She goes from being in a stable place to not being in a stable place. So they would do that. But the good thing about opening this discussion is that there's people that will, you know, say that's not okay. Like some people will laugh, some people would joke about it, and some other people would say, okay, but this is not okay. We're not laughing about this anymore because it's not something to laugh about. So I bring Demi Lovato because I think she's kind of the Britney Spears of our generation when it comes to mental health. And she's been very open about it. And I think she's a good example for pop culture. And also, she dropped an album with a song from with Ariana Grande. So, yeah. But I wanted to know what you guys think about about her and how the media has portrayed her and how she portrays herself, because she has had a lot of, documentaries and all that stuff. So I wanted to know your point of view on how she advocates for mental health.
As far as how like I guess the media portrays her, or like I feel like honestly it can go like they can see her in a lot of ways. They can either just be like, oh, she's just like a crack addict, or like no, she's like somebody who like should actually like seek assistance and is like an actual problem that needs to be like dealt with help from others. And as far as like how she sees herself, I haven't really like seen like any of her documentaries, but I don't know, like hopefully she's like getting help, or like I don't know. I should like check out one of her documentaries though, because I need to be like more educated.
Same, Pamela. I haven't really watched her documentaries, and I haven't really been into her situation. I've just heard from different like sources or different people telling me that this happened about her. But I mean, I'm glad she's getting the help she needs. And if any of you guys like are dealing with mental health or anything, like please like seek out for help, because it's really important. And I know also for me that during the pandemic, I don't know, like it's been hard also to come to terms with. I've been feeling like alone a lot. So I feel like it also like affects me, and I know that affects a lot of people. Like I don't know, but yeah, I think the Demi situation, it's really important, especially like for young girls too, to like look at her and think like, oh, like she went through that. So if I'm going through that, like I don't know, it's I don't know.
Yeah, because like you said, I just brought it up because I think she's a good example of what mental health is right now. Also because I saw some comments in her documentaries, because I did follow it, and they were saying, girl, you've had like 3 documentaries already. Like, what is the true story? And they were making fun of it because she breaks down a lot and she relapses a lot, and she does it publicly. So I wanted to bring her up because I thought it's realistic, because mental health is difficult. It's a constant battle, like she says in her documentary. It's an everyday kind of thing. She's an addict, and she has like mental health problems. So it's hard for her to keep going, and sometimes she relapses, and I think it's just so normal to see it. I think it should be normal to see it, because her battle could be true to so many other people, you know? And what you said, Anai, about the pandemic making it hard and making it lonely, I agree. Like it gets lonely. And I don't know if you have any advice other than what you previously said to not feel as lonely. Maybe because what I do when I feel lonely is text my friends, but not everyone has someone to text. What I do is probably go online and find someone to talk to, or find something to watch. So I don't know if you guys have anything else to add to that.
um Yeah, I also I've watched a lot of YouTube during this time, like a bunch. Um, what else have I done? I've tried to find new hobbies because there's just like a bunch of trends. So I'm like, okay, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. But none of it seems to work out for me, but I'm still trying. Um, yeah, I think right now I'm like at a constant like I'm steady right now, I think. Just I'm excited for summer and yeah.
Yeah, like whenever I feel lonely, I just text my friends. Like even if I like sometimes I'll be like, well, I don't want to bother them. Sometimes I'm just like, no, I want to text them. So then I just like text them, and they text me back on their own time. And I honestly like sometimes like because I'm like always up at night. Like all my friends, they're normal and they go to sleep early, and I'm like the only one who's up. So I'll just like go on YouTube or Twitch because I watch like some streamers. And like since they're live, I sometimes feel like I'm like, like with them. I don't know if it sounds weird, but like I don't know, it just feels like, they're kind of like there. Like with me, I don't really feel as lonely. So if you want to get into that, you can. But I just want to ask though, like since we're talking about like how mental health can affect people, what do you think are like the consequences of like not taking care of your mental health? Like what are some of them?
I think when you keep everything in, maybe you're a private person, maybe you just don't want to talk about it yet, maybe there's a lot of maybes, but if you keep it in, it can create a weight on your shoulders. And I say that because I'm a private person and I usually don't like talking about everything that I, feel or everything that happens to me because it just doesn't feel like I should put that on someone else. But at the same time, it's sometimes I just need to like rant about it, and that's okay too. So if you are a private person, understandable, but do try to share it with someone, even if it's in very little of the experience. It feels like you're with someone on it. Because I usually go to my friends. You can ask Pamela. Pamela, I always go to you and I tell you, Pam, this is what happened. And I just need to rant about it. You don't have to answer to this. I just told you. And it feels better. And it feels, like I have someone there to talk to. And as well with Anaí and my other friends. If I feel comfortable, I will tell it and it will feel better. So I think not saying what you have going on can make you feel stressed out more than it should because maybe you're just overreacting, maybe you're just thinking too much about it when it's probably not that big a deal. So that's how I see it.
Pamela, can you say your question again?
I just asked like what do you think the consequences are of not taking care of your mental health, or like what is your advice on like trying to take care of it?
Oh my god. Okay. So I think the consequences, um they could vary. I mean, literally anything could happen, I guess. Um what I think is important to talk about is um people who are in like the workforce, especially in the like therapy, um psychology type of workforce where they deal with patients who they have to, like help them and stuff like that. So I feel like if a patient is there, obviously it's a therapist's job to talk about, for them to listen and for them to help their patients. But I feel like a lot of the times, like a therapist doesn't realize how that can also take a mental toll on them and it can also affect them. So I think that it is also important for them to realize like, hey, I need to also talk to someone. I'm also a therapist, but I should also look for therapy myself if I need it, or I should look for help if I need it, because it could also affect themselves as a person or like themselves in their job and affect the patient if it can affect them even more. So yeah, I think that's also important, like for that aspect of like working in the workforce of any kind actually, but this one as an example. And to cope with it, I mean, yeah, just like talk to someone if you're comfortable with it. Like, try to express your feelings, or I mean, just try something that you think would make you feel better. So, I mean, it'll be less of a burden, I guess. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, like for sure to like support what you guys were saying. Like since I want to be a psychologist or like counselor, like something on psychology, I'm still in between. But I've done my own research and I've seen how like psychologists themselves, there's like high rates of like depression, especially burnout. But I think burnout is like for almost like any career. You know, there's chances of burnout, depression, isolation, and I feel like once you keep like all of that in, like you have like that frustration of like all the stress and things on top of you, you just like you either kind of like explode at some point. So I feel like it's better just to like get it out like while you can. And yeah, definitely therapy, like it's like your job to help somebody else, but like what do you do when those who help like need help themselves? So in my opinion, I think like therapy should be mandatory for like therapists themselves because they tend to like gather their clients' problems and put it on top of their own, but they just like keep piling and piling on that their needs are at the very bottom. And it's to the point where they start neglecting them. And that's where like all this like depression and burnout can come in. So yeah, I definitely agree. Like even if you aren't a person who's like very like open with your feelings, I can't really relate because I'm like I say everything like on my mind. I'm like my heart is on my sleeve. But um I suggest like even just texting like the friend you like trust the most, or like if you don't really feel like you have anybody to turn to, I also like write out my feelings, like grab like a notebook or journal, just write out what you're feeling. And even then, I'm telling you, it should be able to like make you feel better. And yeah, that's what I suggest really.
I'm so glad that you guys brought the environment that you guys are going to go into and how it is important for professionals to seek out help, because I feel like mental health, well, you know, therapy and mental health is kind of pushed for people that are completely unstable and that really need it to the eyes of someone that, is an outsider. So I think it's really important to keep in mind that mental health can be for anybody. And if you're in a position of power, you probably forget that. You probably forget that you also need help, that you can also talk to someone. And I think it's important to remember this because you guys are going to go into psychology, right? So those are really heavy environments where people come to you, but who do you go to? So I think it's important to do that, be you know be present and know that you also need help. For me, I want to be a doctor, so I feel like that's gonna be really stressful. But I also feel like um, I should be able to recognize when I'm not okay and when I need to go for help, and the environment should be welcoming of that doubt and of those feelings. The environment should be able to say, "Hey, you don't look all right. You should probably go seek help." At least that's what I want for the future, because I don't want to go into the workplace and be completely worked every single day and not have time for myself, not have time for my mental health, not have time to feel better. So really glad that you guys brought that up. Um, I say, what do you guys think is missing? Because the conversation has been established, the conversation has been open for mental health, but what do you guys think it's missing to push for the normalization of it? What do you guys think it's still a work in progress?
Um, this is one example that I think that how mental health is still a work in progress. Well, I know for a lot of people in different like cultures, for example, like I am Hispanic myself, so I know that some like sometimes, especially in older generations, like my family won't take mental health as serious. They'll just say like, "No, you're fine. It's because you're always on the phone. It's because you never do anything." And I'm like, "Nope, nope. It's not that. It is not that." So I think like especially in those type of environments where um I think cultures do play a big part in mental health, and I think that they should also be educated in the that type of conversation so that they're able to help their children, so their children are able also to be educated to help their children, and it's just on and on and on.
Yeah, I feel like culture and generations play a big part in like trying to get like to that point where like therapy is normalized. Because I know if I told my mom like I want to go to counseling, she'd be like, "No, it's only for crazy people, and you're not crazy." And it's like, no, like I don't even have to be like have such an extent of like, being like mentally unstable or anything to like want therapy. Because sometimes you just like want somebody to talk to, you want like advice on things. So I think that should definitely be normalized. But since we're coming to the end of part one for our podcast, I just want to reiterate that you shouldn't be neglecting your own needs, and that no matter who you are, therapy should definitely be normalized, and don't be ashamed to go to therapy.
Yeah, I just want to say that it's important to put yourself first. It's important to know and be able to see yourself, be able to analyze yourself and say, well, this is not going to be good for me, so I'm just going to stay away from it. Um, and I think it's important to normalize therapy and ask for help if you need it. So, yes.
Thank you guys. We'll see you in part 2.
Hi guys, welcome to part two of From the Minds of Women, where this time we'll be discussing understanding sexism and misogyny and the negative effects of it. Now, before I introduce myself and my co-host again, I just want to say another disclaimer that if you need to skip, pause, do anything for your own well-being, go ahead, because we will be discussing heavy topics. So just a warning, but let's continue on. I'm Pamela Herrera, and my co-hosts are
I'm Ana Ileja.
And I'm Alejandra Garza. So, to start us off, I just wanted to define what sexism and misogyny is to each of us. So, for me, sexism is just putting men on a pedestal, putting men before and above women. And misogyny, it's the constant in a culture, or the constant, objectification, the constant um, uh, triggering of women. And yes.
yeah, definitely. I feel like sexism and misogyny in itself is just like seeing women as inferior to men and just like having it so that like women praise men or like do everything to accommodate them instead of also including women in that. And definitely it's like affected, like I feel like it affects both genders, but in the way that like men, they start having this sense of like entitlement to themselves, while women are like, okay, I have to back off and like do what a man tells me to, because this is our society.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. I do think that sexism does affect both genders, but it does affect well, not both genders, like everyone, but it mainly affects women because like Pamela said, men are in our society, like men are above us and women are just there to help the men achieve their goals and stuff like that. So yeah, same thing for misogyny. It's just in power of men. Yeah.
I really like how you mentioned how misogyny and sexism affects everyone because it is very true, but most people see it as it's just affecting one more than the other. But I think it does affect everyone. I just wanted to ask, how do you think it affects everyone? Because for men, I think there is this constant ridiculing if you show any feminine traits. If you're feminine in any sort of way, you're gonna be made fun of. So I think that's how we have toxic masculinity, and that's another branch of misogyny. That's where we also get homophobia. That's where we get the hatred towards women and how we equal women to something negative. Like if someone starts crying, what are you, a girl? Stop crying, you know? Those little examples that shape our culture. So I just wanted to ask, how do you guys think it affects everyone?
Yeah, like even like women are like obviously like definitely affected, but there's also like the men and the way that you mentioned though, like how they think showing an emotion like crying counts as like oh being feminine and being seen as weak, and how like as a man they have to always like be strong, put up like this persona of them being like the boss or controlling, like making most of the decisions. That's their way of like showing their masculinity. But like I don't see how like crying when like you need to is like gonna weaken your masculinity or anything like that. Because if anything, I feel like you're more of a man if you're able to show your emotions. And yeah, I think it just like affects like everybody in general.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I mean, there's a bunch of like little sayings that like men say to like other men or like younger boys, or like don't cry, are you a girl? Oh my god, you hit like a girl, or don't act like that. That's only for girls. Girls and I think that does affect the girl itself, because the woman themselves, because they're looked down upon, like, oh, if you act like that then that's bad, so like women are bad. And like if the person being told that thinks like that, they're obviously going to think like, oh, okay, yeah, I can't act a certain way because it's bad, so women are bad. And um yeah, it just causes a toxic mentality of women, and just in general, like it affects them. Like if that's actually how they are, why are you gonna question them and then make them feel bad for acting the way they want to be? I mean, yeah.
I actually love that topic because I remember when I was, smaller, I remember that I did not want to be related to anything that was stereotypically female. I did not want to have the pink anything. I wanted to be the tomboy. I wanted to be something else. And there's a joke about it. Like I didn't want to be like other girls, but why is it so wrong to be like other girls? And that doesn't make sense to me now, because girls are cool, girls are nice, girls are pretty, girls are everything that I wish. Like the girls are what I want to be now, but back then I didn't, because it was so ingrained in me that I shouldn't want that. That I should want to be different. That I shouldn't do things for myself, and that I shouldn't want to look good, or things like that. So I really love that topic because it's been like constant throughout my life. So that's why I think it's very important. So I don't know if you guys have anything to add to this part of the conversation, but if you do, go ahead.
Um, Honestly, I like literally get you so like much on the like wanting to be a tomboy when you're younger, because I remember like it's crazy like how like even like certain colors are assigned gender roles basically. Like I remember when I was like 5 years old and I was getting in a room and I was like, "What color do you want?" And I said blue because blue's a pretty color. And she's like, "No, pink because you're a girl." And I was like, "What does that have to do with anything?" Like when I was younger, but it was like, like even school telling you like, oh, like pink is for girls, blue is for boys, and like your parents. So it's like, okay, then that's like how I should like, start liking things. But it's just crazy. And also there's like this thing of like career shaming. I don't even know what the thing, but that's what I call it. Like if a man wants to go into like a feminine like career, like fashion design, they get shamed for it. They're like, what? Like, are you? They start saying these things like, oh, are you gay? Are you like, are you a girl? Like, why do you want to go into fashion design? Because men are expected to be like engineers and anything like that. So just like this thing where we had to like stop like putting like labels on like careers or colors, like anything like that. Like people can just be themselves.
Yeah, so I saw something related to that about careers and how women, since there's not a lot of women in STEM majors, they try to push it and they try to market it for women. But when they do, and women go into STEM majors, they are seen with this not so welcoming environment, and that's what I saw. Well, I've been seeing online because there's this influencer. I'm not well. It was a TikTok, but she wasn't really a TikToker. She was just a girl that was studying engineering, and she said, if you're gonna study a STEM career, don't do it. And it's like something that shocked me because everyone pushes it for women, and she said because the environment here is not welcoming. The environment here, it's people men constantly trying to gaslight you, constantly trying to make you feel not welcomed, and constantly trying to make yourself um, prove yourself to them. And she said it's not worth it. So I want to go into the sciences. So that was something that really alarmed me, right? And I was like, I want to go into that. So, but I'm not going to change what I want to into because of the environment. What we're going to do is change the environment, because that's not okay. Like everyone should be accepted into careers, into jobs, even if your gender doesn't align with the idea of the job. So, yes, on that. Do you guys want to add something else?
Yeah, I just think how like when you said that, how it made you like, well, this is how the environment I want to go in. This is how it is, and how it discouraged you. I think that's like so important because this just like it just shows how it does affect both women and men, and like how it can discourage a person from actually wanting to do what they do. And I mean, if a person is actually that passionate about this sort of career, I mean, they could help change like people's lives and stuff. Like, I don't know. It's just like I just thought it was interesting that you thought that.
Yeah. Well, I hope we can do something about it before I go into it. But if we don't, then we're gonna have to still battle it while we're going through it. So I wanted to ask also, because I think we are Hispanic, right? The hosts of this podcast are all Hispanic. We have Mexican families. So I wanted to ask, how do you see sexism and misogyny play in your culture as a Hispanic woman? And also, I wanted to ask, how do you see misogyny and sexism play in the culture of young people? Because we have media like, social media, networks, and all that stuff. And we kind of created an environment with each other that could be considered a culture of young people. And I wanted to ask, how do you see yourself? How do you see yourself in how sexism is represented for the youth?
I mean, I feel like when it comes to like, our culture as Hispanics, it's mainly like it just goes back to like the traditional gender roles I feel like our families follow. And it's like, like women are meant to like stay at home, be like housewives, and men are supposed to like, you know, be like the man of the house and like be working.
Um, I know for my family, the whenever we have like parties or family gatherings, stuff like that, it's really common for the women to stay inside while the men stay outside. And the women are supposed to start serving the men when the food is done. So the men are the ones that eat first, and then it's the kids, and then it's the women. So I just, as I was growing up, I always asked my mom, like, why is that? Like, why do we have to serve like my tios first, like my dad? And like, cause I'm hungry, I want to eat too. But like, no, that's the way it goes. That's why we have to do it. Or also like how the men stay outside and how the women stay inside. It's always been like that. Like the men never are with the women, at least in my family. Like even if we're both outside, like the men never sit with their wives. They're just always in like their own like little spot talking. And I always thought like, because I would have older cousins that would have like girl cousins that would bring like their boyfriends and stuff. So I would always think like one day when I get older, when I have a boyfriend, like I don't want him to be over there by himself. Like I want him to be with me. So like we can all like talk together. So I just like I don't know. It's just like annoying, I guess, how it's normalized in that way. Like this is how it's supposed to be. Men here, women here. Men eat first. Women, you gotta wait because we gotta serve the men first. And Ali, can you ask your question, the last one again? I didn't get that.
Yeah, how do you like you already answered the Hispanic part, but how do you see sexism and misogyny be represented in the youth, in for people of our age group?
Hmm. I don't know about that one. Um, I guess like we could go back to jobs and stuff. Like if you're a young woman working with like an environment with older men, I mean they're obviously gonna look at you as like, oh, like you don't know anything. Or if you're a young man working with like even older men, like they're gonna look at you like, what are you doing here? This is a job for like men. You're a little boy. I don't know. That's how I would see it, I guess.
And then like the whole time we were talking, I was like screaming like, yes, like I literally agree.
Yeah, I was just gonna agree with Anaí because I think in our culture it's very you have to serve the men first kind of thing. You have to serve them in every aspect of life though, like not just in that example where we have to serve them food. We always have to put them first. Like I've heard before, like learn how to cook because the day you marry, you're gonna need it. Why would I need that the day I marry if I'm gonna need it beforehand when I move out? Or what if I need it beforehand for myself? Like I think there's this culture of learn as much as you can to serve the men that will come to your life. And I'm not here to serve anybody. It's kind of this is for me. We're here for us. Like I am open to the idea of finding someone, having a family, and all that stuff. But for now, I'm here for myself. I'm here to teach myself how to survive and not to serve someone else, if that makes any sense. And as for our age group, I think we can see the errors of the past, like generations, but again, we're gonna make mistakes because there's this quote that I really like. But it says, I'm gonna butcher it, but it says something about along the lines of every generation thinks themselves smarter than the past and wiser than the one that came before them, right? Or something like that. And I think it's true. Like we are. kind of battling and opening this conversation and being more open about it. But at the same time, we're going to have problems with it because we already do. With media, we have the power to do a lot. And when, like, for example, when relationships don't go as planned, and there was a trade off of, let's say, inappropriate pictures or like revealing pictures, not inappropriate pictures. If there's a trade off of it and someone in that relationship didn't feel um, good about the relationship after, and they decided to post those pictures online, and then they slut shame the whoever is in the picture. That is another branch of misogyny that kind of evolved with our generation because of the media that we have and and the power that we have through our phones. So I just wanted to ask you guys, what do you think about that, and how do you think we can battle it?
I think that's disgusting. Post like um, uh, I hate the idea. It's not an idea. It happens when people like something happens between them and they want to post pictures that shouldn't be posted. And I just think it's just disgusting for that person to think that they have that kind of like authority over that person to, oh, I'm going to ruin this person's life. Like, let me post this picture. And it does happen more to women. So just like, and then the person that posted them, like their friends they're like cheering them on, like, yeah, good, like she's this, she's that, like she deserves it. Like, no, guys, no. A way to fix it. I mean, I don't know if it could be fixed. I mean, I guess just like educate those that don't see a problem with this, because it is obviously a problem. Like, I don't know. It's just like it's disturbing to see or like listen, because it just like it angers me a lot.
Yeah, I feel like it's just like also painful for like the person whose like photos got like exposed, because it's like you put all this trust into somebody to like, not like share it, and then when they do, it's like your heart just breaks, because it's like, well, can you really trust like anybody if like they're gonna do something like that? And yeah, like Anna said, I don't really know if there's like a definite solution to that, because there's like a lot of men especially who think it's funny and think they can make a joke about it and post it online. But definitely like spreading awareness of like the negative effects it has on people, and education is really what we can do right now. But hopefully there's like more solutions that bring faster like results of trying to fix this problem.
Yeah, I really agree with you guys. I don't know if there's a solution to it, but just being careful is all I can say, because, like I said, these problems will evolve because misogyny always finds a way to adapt itself into any circumstance, any age group, any innovations. So just be careful out there.
Okay, guys, so we're coming to an end of our podcast. Thank you for joining us here today. And just to wrap things up real quick, I just wanted something to say. Basically, like the whole purpose of this was to, encourage educating yourselves and bringing awareness about sexism, misogyny, including, taking care of your mental health in the previous part. And hopefully you guys stay safe and take care of yourselves out there.
By the way, guys, there will be some links in the description for any resources that you guys may need regarding mental health or anything like that. So if you guys need any help, there will be some resources there. And I think that's it, right? Right? Okay. Bye,
Yes,
guys.
guys, have a nice day. And remember to put yourself first and be healthy, be safe.
Stay safe, guys. Okay, bye. Thank you.